Coming at you from Scratchin Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. Your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. As always, I'm your host, Porter. To my left, the poor man's Ed McMahon, Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
And across from me, the rich man's Andy Richter, Tommy Dixon.
How's it going?
What's up, gentlemen?
Nothing. Good day.
Absolutely. Recording day. And hey, we're not alone today.
Nope.
Once again, for the, 25th time. No one's counting anymore.
Everyone stop counting.
We got our buddy. He's etched in crimson. You know him from Weaponized Inc, Savage Age, Enoch by Night. We got Mr. C. Grant Rosen with us today. Grant, how is it going?
How's it going? Doing good. I'm excited to be talking about some stuff today.
Excited to have you here.
Yeah, welcome back.
There is one person counting.
Yep, it's number 8. I'm counting.
It's number 8.
Perfect.
Shit.
Told you there was one person counting.
We had to move up the final count from 10 to 25. Give everyone else a chance.
Right? We don't got that custom toaster in yet. We can't...
Exactly, that's why. It's not ready yet.
we're just going to have to move the number up until we get that thing in.
But we do have the knife set, so that might be the...
Now that went away. I've been advised not to talk about that.
Oh, gotcha. So. Was it admitted into evidence?
You shut up.
Damn lawyers.
Yep.
All right, sorry. Almost breached that NDA. Got
Can't
it.
prove a fucking thing.
All right, let's do this.
All right. So another show. Look at this.
Yes.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Happy podcast day.
And not everyone listens on Tuesday, but whatever day you're listening is podcast day.
Not Tuesday when we're recording it either, so we're all fucked.
There's days of the week, yeah.
Happy Tuck Day.
What?
What? We're just making days up.
All right,
Why not?
fine. Sure. It's podcast day.
It's whatever's in your heart.
Yes, it is. Always.
Oh, we're laughing and joking a lot today, which is kind of on theme.
Look at that. Good segue.
Right? And right to it, too, which seems like a decision I made.
Fine with it.
And we can chill about ourselves later.
Yeah, we can do that later. But listen when we do, though, guys. Please. Like, I know you know the stuff already. Just come on.
It's kind of important, but we'll leave it.
Yeah, maybe we can save it for later. Because we are talking about the Nuwisha today. We talked about it before, when we did our Fera overview, that we would eventually come around and do a proper series on everybody. And so we're making good on that, shockingly. And
It didn't take a year to follow through on a thing.
Exactly. So be proud of us.
Did it? What number was Nuwisha?
It doesn't matter. The end of the Fera series was in December. Maybe.
Maybe. Somewhere around there.
I said
I think that was the lost ones.
It's a few months, not a year, okay?
Fair.
It's not like the Umbras.
That was rough.
Right?
Yikes.
Deep Umbra 2025.
We'll still finish that series eventually.
No, we totally will. But, we decided to start the Fera series, and Nuwisha came up first.
Kind of a random.
Yeah, it was
Yeah, we picked at random.
Look, Tom wanted to do it. So, it's Tom's fault.
You blame me, yeah.
Why did you want to do it, Tom?
It was either that or the hall pass.
The hall pass?
Yeah, the
Corex.
Corex. Thanks for listening to the podcast.
No, that's the free pass. You creep.
This guy in this season, man.
I know. We're going to have to put him in the cage,
Seriously. He's going to get locked in the van next.
right?
That's gone.
Oh, wow.
We sold it for new equipment.
I still got the box.
That's
That the van came in.
Fucking yikes. Daniel Tyson, everybody.
My goodness.
Jesus.
Grant's over there just going, what is going
Yeah,
on?
you don't want a part of this now. Grant, you still with us? Did Danny
Just back
chase you
away
off?
slowly. Just back away
yeah.
slowly and get my alibi ready.
That's a good idea.
So we got Nuwisha.
Yes, we do.
And they are the Were Coyotes.
Coyotes are cool, though. They're pretty close to wolves.
Jesus Christ, we got nothing here, huh?
I don't know where to start now.
Exactly.
So here's the thing with Nuwisha. Me personally, I think that out of all of the Fera, they're the easiest to integrate into a game with Guru. And on top of that, they're the first real Fera that I was exposed to whenever I start getting into werewolf. And so they hold a very special place in my heart. On top of that, I'm like Tom. If I'm a player, I prefer to be a ragabash because it just gives me the levity to basically do fuck off and fuckery stuff that storytellers really love to do when we get to be players. So, and the Nuwisha really, really dovetail really nice into that. And they kind of got the short end of the stick when it comes to being developed and wrote over the years. They were the first breed book, and as everyone that knows that's looked into it, that book is a little lax on giving them anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that's a great place to start, is that, for those of you who have never seen the Nuwisha breed book, because let's face it, that was a second edition book. Revised gave us the collected changing breed book. 20 gave us a collective changing breed book. But in second edition, every Fera had their own book. And the Nuwisha one is like 5 pages long.
It's so small.
It's ridiculous.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so small. And the second breed book, I think it was Naga or somebody.
No, but
at the beginning. What's that?
I think it was Bastet.
Yeah, it was Bastet. Yeah, in the Bastet book at the very beginning, if you look, they actually have a sidebar with the credits saying that, hey, we heard you, we know we fucked up, all the other breed books will be better.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, good on them for making the promise. But if that's the case, why didn't they go back and redo it?
It would have been nice, but I think from a practical standpoint, it would be a bit much to ask people to buy
A second book.
a second book in the same edition.
That's fair.
There's PDFs now, so you can still go back.
That's true. And I mean, look, they hit there was information in the player's guide. And then, again, we had the breed books, or the changing breed, the all-in-one. But yeah, the Nuwisha really got the short end of the stick there. Which, I think maybe helps a little bit of the mystery. Some of the mysteries we can get into later. Mm-hmm. But something I thought was interesting is, we talk about the creation myths. And the Nuwisha's is a little unique.
Yeah.
No, it is. It's, according to them, Coyote created everything. Mm-hmm. Coyote did all of it. Including humans, which they cite as one of his biggest mistakes, by the way.
Oh, okay.
So, yes, Danny, you were a mistake.
Ouch.
Oh.
That's revenge for earlier.
Oh.
Because he was going to throw that at me, and then it went to you.
That's right.
Hold on. Give it to you.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't recorded, but we'll just say that I got Porter really good earlier.
Yeah, that's revenge.
Yeah.
Bitch.
So now everyone gets the retaliation. You're welcome. Ouch.
Right. But yeah, so, according to the myth, Coyote did everything. And something I dig here is, he made the humans, and then he gives a bunch to, Wolf. And he gives a bunch to Shark. And, he all down the line of shifters.
It's a great story.
Right? And they all give their rationale, right? It's like, oh, hey, I'm going to teach the humans this. I'm going to teach the humans that. And that's how they got the different changing breeds. And then Spider shows up. So of course, Weaver. And she just takes all of the humans that are left. She's like, I'll take these. The rest of this is mine. The whole time, Coyote's like, maybe I'll take some. We'll see. Fuck it. He doesn't care. Well, then Worm shows up. And Worm is just blind and kind of dumb, which is usually a portrayal of Worm, is just being kind of sluggish and dumb.
Okay.
Where's my humans?
Right. Worm's like, I want some humans too.
That's the voice we're going with, all right.
Oh, absolutely. And so Coyote's like, Weaver took them all. You could go ask her. I can help you. And Worm's like, I don't want your help because then I'm going to owe you something. So he goes over to Weaver and is like, I want some humans. Weaver goes, yeah, they're in my web. Come and fucking get them.
Oh, okay.
See where this is going?
Yeah. So Worm climbs up in the web and is knocking humans off the web. But she wants all of them. He's being greedy. And lo and behold, I'm stuck in your web now. Weaver, help me. You say, fuck you. Are you kidding? You fell for this. No. And again, Coyote's like, well, you want help? No, you're laughing at me because I got stuck and I'm mad about it. And I'm not gonna owe you.
This is a really bad Eeyore.
So that's where Worm is. That's how Worm got trapped. In the humans that were knocked down, Coyote's like, hey, all right, fuck it, you guys are mine. I guess I will after all.
It's your voice for Worm that makes that story fucking awesome.
It's still such a good story.
Yeah, the
though.
story's still awesome.
I agree, but like the reason I've got tears in my eyes.
Oh God, he does. Oh, Tom up top.
So he's using that voice, but he's got this really droopy face.
That's how you make the voice.
All right, gonna get my breath. Holy
I don't
shit.
like that I'm in the webs. I'm gonna turn evil and ruin everything.
Now I know what happened.
Yeah, that's the story.
Good job, Coyote.
I like
It's all your
Coyote's
fault.
story better.
No, I do like Coyote's story. It's super Coyote-centric, but like,
Oh,
it's a
very
fun story.
I just love how Coyote's always nonchalant, like,
Yeah, it's fine. Fuck
it's
it.
fine. And that's
So
Coyote
here's
tends
the
to play
thing.
it off that way all the time, though. Is he's always not wanting to show how good they are. They're always just kind of hanging out, like, yeah, we could.
So almost
Eh.
humble, almost.
They just
I
don't
would
want
say
to.
sly.
Yeah, they're sly.
Okay.
They don't want to show off their strength.
Grant,
I would-
you got something here.
Yeah, I think the Nuwisha, especially in Coyote, by virtue of being of Coyote, they are confident from the position of self-assuredness. Like that's what makes them humble, is that they're not really humble. They're just so confident in their own abilities that not being successful is beyond their capability to really understand. That's
like
the reason
that.
why Miniskins was so successful. I mean, the dude did some major ballsy shit that if he took a step back to even think about, the success ratio of it would be insane.
Miniskins is the fucking coolest.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just lay that out right now.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about lore characters recently. Just by
Yeah.
coincidence at that.
A little bit, yeah.
You know, between the junk drawer and we've talked a lot about lore
Yes.
characters. But Miniskins has yet to come up, and I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that guy's a total fucking badass. He's the coolest.
Yes.
Well, I know I don't know if we've mentioned it on podcast, but we were talking, just us talking about doing as the series and how Miniskins is going to be part of the series.
Well, he's going to come up because he shows up every now and then in some of those breed books.
Right.
Yeah, he just loves fucking with him. That's his jam.
So
Whatever happened to him in the Wild West when he was, young Miniskins, by the time the modern era comes around, he's like, fuck it, I'm fucking with everybody. No one's off the table.
Old man Miniskins, man. Oh,
Right.
I want to read his adventures.
he's super cool.
So, but yeah, so back to the point I interrupted for. I tend to agree that Coyote actually did create a lot of these things. And here's the reason why. If we're looking at the cosmology, you have the Wild Weaver and the Worm, right? And they're like the forces of creation. So it makes sense that they created or they were there for the creation of Gaia. I know that's an arguable point. But in Savage Age lore, we have that the Triad come first before Gaia. So it's Triad, then Gaia. And if we're looking at that, we're looking at Coyote, I think Coyote is a manifestation of the wild. It fits. All the different things about the wild and the different aspects that it could have, Coyote fits that. And then if you look at other splats, you have an aspect, a fragment of the wild that's actually trapped in the labyrinth, which, I know the labyrinth and the abyss is a controversial topic for Porter, but that's the one place that crosses all splats. So there is actually this spark of wildness in the labyrinth that makes sense to be a face of Coyote.
Well, that's a lot of different things you just threw down on the fucking carpet here.
I did.
First of all, what are we, 5 minutes in?
15.
Shit. All right. we should start a pool
14,
for next
I guess.
time to see how far before Savage Age gets brought up.
Sorry. My bad.
I mean, I'm down for talking about it. Don't get me wrong, but let's see.
man.
How long has it been?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Savage A's and Wraith in less than 15 minutes. I got it.
Wow. Kind of a record then, huh?
Fucking burn, sir.
As soon as you looked down at your watch
Like my
list
non-existent,
wrist, I was like, yep, I know what he's doing.
But it does make sense for Coyote to be an avatar of the wild. You know, it has all these different totem facets of Coyote that are still Coyote.
Well, I think the
so it makes
problem
sense.
with that, Grant, is that elevates Coyote, arguably, above Gaia. And now we got logistical problems when it turns into... So now Coyote is greater than the rest of the Celestians?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, I'm thinking that as a facet, as an avatar, if you look at, I don't know, the other, like some other RPGs, right?
Well, but
that have avatars for deities.
If the
right?
Triad trumps Gaia, right? And allegedly we're saying... And I agree with that interpretation, but we're going with allegedly because it's contradicted in other places.
It is. No one actually says definitively one way or the other. Okay.
Right. So, fuck it, I'm in the Triad over Gaia camp. But that also means that includes Luna, that includes Helios, the whole fucking Ethereal realm, the outer planets, all of that shit is under the Wormweaver and Wild. And if Coyote is an avatar of the Wild, then that means that Coyote is above all of that shit too. And is very unique in that position.
Right. Well, I would look at it as an avatar as a severely weakened form of it. You know, it's a manifestation. You know, that's how other RPGs end up handling the whole deity avatar on the material plane type thing, is that the avatar itself is so much weaker than the aspect of divinity. And that's how I would look at it, is that the totem of Coyote, while he may be an aspect of the wild, it's such a diluted aspect that they're two different things.
Well, I see at that point, and I mean, I think I would maybe meet you halfway, which is a ridiculous statement because we're fucking speculating here. That maybe it's not so much that is that Coyote, due to his nature, became adept at manipulating wild energies, or perhaps even the wild itself, as the trickster that he is.
That's possible. I could go with that.
That makes a little bit more sense.
I mean, this way he's not...
Yeah, you're not putting him above everybody else.
He's just that fucking clever and talented that he had an in. Yeah. He ran a grift, which, you know, is definitely not like Coyote.
Of course not.
No, that is totally his mantra.
For me, I think that would be like the middle ground. Again, as if we need a fucking middle ground on this, but... I said no, so you're... Jesus Christ.
No. It's not how we roll. But I get
and it also makes sense for them to lie to his children and make himself be bigger than he is.
True.
Also true, yeah. All the humans that fell, that's why they're mine.
I gotta do something with them. The worm was like, I wanted them, but I can't have them now. That's just for you guys.
Thanks.
Now, I did want to touch on something interesting I found in my research, because, I mean, you know, you guys have been listening, and you guys, I mean, are part of the show.
Yeah.
So, when we did our Worm series, or not our Worm series, but our little spiritual three-parter with the Howlers, and we took our different editions, and so I've been looking a lot at first edition stuff lately. You know, just in keeping with that.
It helps.
Yeah, and it's nice to see the changes, you know, and that's kind of why I've stuck with first edition. So, looking through first edition, which, mind you, is before the Breed book.
Yeah, where are you going with this kind of thing?
There was some interesting shit there that I don't really know where else to toss it, so here it is now, fuck it.
Okay.
Is that, according to that, like, the Garu and the Nuwisha were really close in the day. And the War of Rage kind of started with them. Because the Silver Fangs in particular had a problem with the, I'm going to say lackadaisical nature, but that's not really the word I want here for the Nuwisha. It was like, well, you're not taking the fight of the worm seriously. You guys are way too jovial, and fuck you, you're not doing it right.
Okay.
It also suggests that the Nuwisha are the ones who taught the Garu how to step sideways.
Oh, okay. I see the angle now.
Which I think that was neat. But yeah, so allegedly, you know, they're talking about in first edition that, yeah, like, we were cousins and we're really close, and the Silver Fangs were like, fuck you gotta take this seriously. And they're like, we don't take anything seriously. So I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a reason we don't take it seriously. Yeah, you'll figure it out later.
Fucking... And like that kicked off the War of Rage. And in fact, the way it was worded, and I don't believe this was the ultimate vision there, because I didn't... Like I just went back over the Nuwisha entry. Alright, I didn't do the whole thing. But it kind of intimated that just that was the War of Rage originally.
The way they worded it was just like, this is the War of Rage, period.
I mean, they didn't. No, they intimated. They didn't say period.
Okay.
It's just it. You know, it was like, oh,
so it's just
this.
Just Nuwisha and Garu.
That's weird. Yeah. Again, I didn't read the rest of the entries, so it might have just been worded oddly.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was interesting that different kind of take on it.
Well, I remember when we did the overview of all of them, and Nuwisha was first. I'm almost positive, or at least in the first set, because we all had one for that matter.
Yeah, I think so.
But I remember when we did that first set, every one of our different breeds that we all picked all had their reason why they were the start of the War of Rage.
No, that's true.
I just thought it was funny as shit.
Actually, I had a blurb I took from it there. Is, the rift between the Garu and the Nuwisha is well known. The Garu, led by Silver Fangs, openly accused the Nuwisha of conspiring with the Worm. The logic used was that the Nuwisha had never taken the battle against the Worm seriously. An argument the Nuwisha just wouldn't dignify with an answer.
Of course not.
So their silence was an admission of guilt.
Mm.
An excuse for the open war between the two called the War of Rage. It's crazy, right?
A little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that to a certain degree, but we already have in the updated editions a little bit more canon to support other versions. What I do really like about that is I do think it is conceivable for the Nuwisha to be the ones to teach the Guru how to step sideways.
Yeah, I really like that bit.
Yeah, especially if you look at the evolution of the animal Coyote itself. You go back far enough, and they're actually related to the dire wolves and things. We just have some new studies that come out that prove this genetic tie between dire wolves and some of these other proto-near wolves with Coyote nowadays. So if you go all the way back to whatever the hell the Guru were back in the day, it's conceivable that they were something really close together. And hey, buddy, my cousin, let me show you how to do this.
Well, and I think you and I were talking a couple of days ago, and I don't know if you know this, guys, but Grant was telling me that back in that time to the evolutionary scales, that coyotes used to have wings.
You could ride them too.
Did they drink Red Bull?
Yeah, it's because they gave him Red Bull.
It's because they gave him Red Bull.
Like, he's looking at us so fucking serious.
I
like,
know.
Oh, okay, what am I about to hear?
Yeah.
Blow my mind.
Got you both.
Give us wings. Go fuck yourself.
I almost said could shoot lasers. Another option was thumbs.
Opposable thumbs?
Yeah.
I would have probably half believed thumbs.
You should have went with the
You would have
thumbs.
believed thumbs over wings.
Half. I said half. With how serious your face was.
I should have went with lasers and tried to sell it.
Yeah, I wouldn't believe you on lasers. I said half believed on the thumbs. I could see it with dew claws and shit. Come on now.
Eee.
Now all I'm seeing is a Nuwisha doing that.
You're welcome.
Oh, man. Thank you, Henry Winkler.
See, it's on theme because we're joking.
This is true.
Yeah, but they joke to teach.
That's a really good point. And that was something I wanted for sure for us to fucking talk about. They say that the very best pranks are the ones that make your opponent think. The best jokes are those that teach the listeners to hear the truth. You use this to teach others what you already know. And this is a mantra of the Nuwisha.
Yes.
So what joke did they use to teach him to step sideways?
See, that's
Look what I can do. I'm just joshing.
Yeah, you fucker.
When you
that
slide
would
to the
be an
left.
awesome chronicle. That would be an awesome chronicle, though. Think about it.
That'd be cool, yeah.
One of those ancient mysteries. Kind of like, yeah, see?
Yep.
We all know, and if you don't, now you do. Take that. That all Nuwisha are technically Ragabash. The reason for this is because of a prank played on Luna by Coyote. The nature of this has never been revealed.
Which is kind of cool because it gives storytellers ideas.
Well, it gives you that story seed that you could go over Chronicles
Exactly. You can come up with your own idea of what maybe that prank was, but I like the mystery of no one ever really knowing.
And see, I do kind of love those mysteries, but I also love to speculate about that stuff.
Of course.
And I mean, it's such a grand scale, though. Tom, Grant, any thoughts on that? I know you two have talked about this before.
With each other, for that matter.
That's right. This is a real thing. This isn't some Wings bullshit.
I know. That's why you guys have had, like, we saved this conversation on purpose.
This is true. We did save this conversation. Grant had posed that question to me a while back.
This was, about when we started that overview series.
That was
about a year ago.
Yeah, that was brought up in our Discord, which you can get to through our website, rageacrosstheinternet.com.
.com.
.com.
So when I speculated, I didn't actually think that the Nuwisha played a trick directly at Luna. Since they claimed to be the first to traverse the gauntlet, they were using Luna's spirit brood and loons to do their bidding, and tricking them to do all sorts of nasty and bad things as they were figuring out the Umbra. Since they were the first to traverse, you gotta think, they're gonna go their humory way and play tricks on whatever spirits they come into contact with, and if it's going to the moon or talking to Luna, or you're gonna see the loons first,
right?
So her spirit brood. And then, obviously, once Aunt Luna found out that her brood was being used in a way not meant for them, she brought down her wrath on the breed and removed her gifts.
Ooh. Because I'm going to be honest, this is the first I've heard of this, because I just didn't read the thing.
Well, we knew it happened. But...
No, I mean, like, what Tom had to say.
Oh.
I wasn't paying attention to that conversation when it happened. There's the truth. So this
we
is
knew the conversation happened, but we didn't read it.
Right.
Well, thanks, guys.
You're welcome. No, but here's a thought. Because we know that loons guard the moon paths. Mm-hmm. What if they didn't originally?
So they're the reason they're
what if the
now.
Nuwisha, like the loons, used to run free and do whatever the fuck they wanted to, or Luna had a different purpose in mind for them, but the Nuwisha tricked the loons into some sort of promise or some sort of pact where they would defend the moon paths instead.
I like that. So now, obviously, coyotes have their golden rule is to respect Luna because of this.
Yes.
She kind of
fuck with you once.
Which is what turned them into their mantra of playing tricks to teach instead of just playing tricks. That was my whole way of running that.
Which could feed into the loon thing.
Very
because
easily.
Again, that's not a teaching thing. That's I tricked you. That's a Tom Sawyer shit. That's I tricked you into hitting the fence. Or was that Huck Finn? I ain't read any of those
Huck
books.
Finn.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, Huck Finn was the prick.
Mm-hmm.
He was a fucking troublemaker. Tom Sawyer, he was a good kid.
He painted that fence.
I ain't read those books since junior high, man. I don't remember.
The fence got painted.
That's all that matters.
Right.
What were your thoughts on that, Grant?
We've been back and forth about this particular issue in Savage Age because of all the overlaps that it has with the Nagalu and North America and things. So yeah, I'm definitely a big proponent that Coyote did play a trick on Luna and that it had long-lasting ramifications, not the least of which is they're all Ragabash. They all have to be Ragabash. And they all have to guard the moon paths. But also, I think that maybe Luna infected Coyote with just a little smidget of her own insanity. And that's the reason why Coyote has so many different facets, has so many different aspects. And then obviously tying in with the dire wolves and the dire wolf breeds that we speak about in Savage Age, that's all going to be interconnected as well. We're just kind of hammering out the rough edges and figuring out the direction we want to go with that. I think that relationship between Coyote and Luna has had such an impact on the Nuwisha that they would be totally different if it hadn't happened. They'd be more like the Guru, I think.
Just spitballing, off of that, I kind of like the idea. And, maybe food for thought on your end, your Grant and Kaysen and Chris, the rest of the gang over there at Weaponized Inc. is, the Nuwisha. What if originally they took on more of like an assassin role? Leaning into that kind of stealth aspect of the Ragabash. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, we get to what we will now call the Great Prank.
Just cool.
Because it sounds good. And that the Great Prank led to a shift in their purpose and in what they do because of what it was. I mean, I also like the idea that they're essentially guardians of the Umbra. That this is where they have decided. Mm-hmm. They kind of gave the Garu the realm. Like, I got a quote here, so we gave our word to the Garu. We told them that Gaia was theirs to watch over. In the meantime, we watch over the stars, which is how they refer to the Umbra. Mm-hmm. Someday Wolf's children might ask for our help, and then we will return to aid them as best we can. Then Worm's children will know what trickery means, and will suffer humiliations if few have in the past. Like Coyote, we are patient. Should the Gyro ask, we will aid them. Like Worm, they are offended by our laughter. For that reason, they may never ask.
That's a good quote.
Right?
That's
I had to
awesome.
pull it. But you look at that, right? And they've taken to the Umbra, and you know how I love to try to link up
Everything.
with Savage Age and the Apocalypse canon. I love that idea of that both are true in the fact that the War of Rage as we know it in Apocalypse is a lie, and the truth is Savage Age.
Okay.
But then why is the lie there? What happened in the Savage Age canon? And I mean, this is my fucking head canon at this point. But, I want to link them. I want to make it all a thing. So, like, what was this thing? What happened? What event was so fucking terrible that it had to be hidden away with a false history so that no one could ever know the truth and what the implications of learning that truth could be? And the more I think about it, the more I have to look at the Nuwisha as if it isn't their fault, and it might be their fault. If it's not their fault, it's theirs to guard that secret.
Okay.
And it can be both. But it's just something I'm throwing out there. Grant, jump in on this. I don't think you've ever heard this before, so ha. I think this is new to you, so sorry.
Yeah, I'm trying to process it all right now.
Yeah, I thought so.
We should have dirt on Crazy Aunt Luna.
But, like, what?
What dirt, exactly. Something serious.
And is it just that? But again, you can't, and I'm going here because I like to process for a minute. You can't have both. You can't have Savage Age be canon and Apocalypse be canon. Something has to be a lie. The War of Rage is told in Apocalypse versus the War of Rage is told in Savage Age. They don't mesh.
Right.
So if you go, well, Savage Age is super interesting and it's super fucking cool, and I like this better as the War of Rage, and that whole era and all this different interesting shit, then, well, the stories that we know of the War of Rage and Apocalypse are still the stories. There's fucking how much in terms of what is currently canon. The histories of the different changing breeds are based upon predominantly this War of Rage. How many of the current factions and the feuds stem back from that era? And if this is all a lie, why is it a lie? Why is the truth a secret?
It's so big of a secret, it's stemmed other...
Exactly.
I see where you're going.
It's got to be something so big that it's better to have all the races hate each other than for them to learn the truth.
Dude.
Yeah, I don't want to go too deep into that because that just sparked a lot of ideas that I have. So
He's
I'm
got
just
his
going
notepad out. He's
to
going,
catalog that one. And then,
Well, you're welcome,
Flesh
and
that.
I'm excited to see my name in the special thanks.
Holy
I mean,
shit,
there's a lot of salient points to that, and that can go in lots of different directions. I will say when it comes to the conflicts between Savage Age lore and canon lore, we do our best to deconflict, and the only time that we really supersede and say that we're right versus canon lore is when we have like actual archaeological or genetic proof of it. That's the only time we're really like, no, that's wrong, we're right. So we're trying to make that as seamless and smooth as possible. But yeah, definitely, that's a fantastic idea, and I think that Coyote would be the forefront of that, or some aspect of Coyote.
Right, and again, whether the cause or the one protecting the secret or both.
And that could also tie into the whole thing with Coyote and not having more than 100 Nuwisha on the material plane at one time. You have Coyote laughs at Luna, which is one of the signature characters of the Nuwisha, and she made an agreement with Luna and Coyote that would be the case. But maybe that particular knowledge ties into that decision.
I mean, that's a good point. I was going to bring up that thing, too, is that it was... Coyote laughs at Luna made that command.
Mm-hmm.
She had Coyote's ear. Like, she was chosen by... But she's the one who said it.
As far as no more than 100.
Yeah. So I that was something that I was going to touch down on, is that I found intriguing that they've all chosen to follow that rule, but there's no implication
On why that rule even
Right,
exists.
right. Like, so what happens if 101
That means number 1 gets pulled back in.
does it?
Forcibly, I don't know.
But exactly. Does Gozer show up if 101 steps through?
Or 101 just can't step through.
There's no more Coyote, only Zool? What happens here?
I was going to say Steve.
Well, that's a terrible Ghostbusters quote. There's no Steve in that movie. What the fuck's wrong with
No
you?
Ghostbusters in the Nuwisha either.
You don't know that.
I mean, I guess you're right, but
Old Man Miniskins can be anything.
you're... Oh, baby, this skin's the Ghostbuster. Got it.
He
Don't
could turn
cross the streams,
He
man.
could turn into 1980s Bill Murray and walk around. He
See,
has
all
that
this
power.
crossover.
That's
All this
awesome.
crossover has me thinking of a Nuwisha story where the new Ghostbusters movie with Melissa McCarthy was really just Nuwisha making fun of the first one.
Yeah, but why wasn't it funny then? Maybe that was the joke. It's a Shaggy Dog story.
There we go.
I love a good Shaggy Dog story. You know what? Okay.
I never understood that, though, the 100 at a time.
It seems odd, and like I would have understood it if it came from like a self-preservation thing.
I get why you're saying that, though, because it gives some implications on why. Maybe that's one of the reasons they're whatever secret's guarding.
Or it's making sure more of them are in the Umbra, protecting.
Which could make sense. Particularly when you think about how their numbers are so small. If there's, let's call it 300 Nuwisha,
Mm-hmm.
and you're focused on guarding the Umbra,
It's put that limit on it. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
yeah, keep 2/3 of your forces where they're supposed to be and not fucking around with Roadrunners.
Maybe.
Just had to throw that in there.
I don't know why you thought I wouldn't.
It's fair.
It was almost the intro.
I would have dropped an anvil on
We'll
that.
have to do an outro then, huh?
Well,
Maybe.
anytime yet. Now, it's been talked about. It's been kind of brought up, and I think now is the time to address it, is the different aspects of Coyote. Something that they've been clear about in the breed book was that all of the various tricksters and trickster spirits, and it's all Coyote. Just taking a different skin, and it's different aspects of them, but it's all him.
Everything. Okay.
It's not like Chris. I know everyone is Chris.
Everyone is Chris.
But
So everyone is Coyote, is what you're saying?
maybe.
Is Chris Coyote?
Well, they both start with a C.
Son of a bitch.
And I've never seen them both in the same place at the same time.
Got a point.
Jeez, that's a really good point.
You had that lock loaded, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
Oh, no? Well, I'm even more impressed it was off the cuff then. Nicely done.
But so I thought it would be a good time to talk about the different aspects of Coyote.
Oh, I was going to say different aspects of Chris, but I guess at this point it's the same thing.
Well, it's... right?
How many aspects
It's
does it
true.
got? Far more than I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 9.
Okay.
Holy
I
shit.
Yeah,
was
that's
hoping it
about-
was 3.
Well, technically 10. There's a point here
Mm-hmm.
where I think we're going to fuck up some pronunciations.
Oh, okay.
That's just what we do on this show. So.
Sometimes. I mean, we try not to fuck around with it, but at least for that setup. So we got T-Malice, which is one of Coyote's oldest forms, who is a liar, thief, and manipulator.
Cool.
The form is a spider. The trickster will gladly kill 1,000 people so long as their dreams become reality. Followers of T-Malice must be like her. They feel a constant need to build more and more complex webs. These are not spun of silk, but of lies and treachery.
Yep. Saw that coming.
Very Weaver-esque.
Yeah. Well, and you keep in mind that, these are, of course, all different aspects that the Nuwisha follow.
Okay.
Instead of the plethora of totems like the Garu have,
Mm-hmm.
they follow a different aspect of Coyote. And that also leads into the naming conventions. Because you have, for example, Laughs at Luna. Well, that's the name given to the world. But they have all Nuwisha have a prefix that is the aspect they follow. So the real name is Coyote Laughs at Luna. And this informs other Nuwisha how to handle them, because each aspect is so different.
Oh.
So if you meet T-Malice Laughs Dangerously, you know instantly who they follow, therefore they're a liar and manipulator.
Thief, and manipulator.
Yeah.
How to
Yes.
handle them.
Levels the playing field between Nuwisha.
But only through Nuwisha, I'm
Well,
sure.
what the fuck does that mean to everybody else? And it's the Nuwisha's business and not theirs, so shut up.
I get it, and I agree.
Yeah, not you, but...
No, I'm
yeah,
close enough, though.
you understood. You know, just everyone.
And everything.
So
And all the
what I
curses.
really like about those different aspects of the totem is that a lot of them are culturally aligned with various cultures throughout the world.
Yes.
And they also can be used by the Nuwisha to kind of infiltrate different changing breed and different seps and things like that to fit in a little bit better. Because each face of the totem itself, of Coyote itself, wants the Nuwisha to act a particular way. You know, like you said, Spider T Malice, they want it to be a little bit more cruel, a little bit more malicious. So those tricks are going to be, they're going to have a little bit more bite on them. Versus Ta, which is much more of a studious, you know, introspective type of aspect of Coyote. Those types of tricks that the Nuwisha following Ta would have would be much more thought-provoking and probably harmless overall, but make people feel stupid and think about what they've done, things like that. Which would be
More
great
of a-
for like an up 10 accept, but horrible for a Silver Fang.
Well, I think it's interesting you bring up Tha, because... And to go through the entry is, you know, Tha was allegedly the creator of the universe, the gateway between worlds, the one responsible for granting life to Earth Mother. His followers are the Umbral Dancers, the guardian of the stars. But I also direct us to the Wheel of Tha cairn in Casablanca. The Silent Strider cairn, which is the largest one they have, and arguably one of the largest cairns in the world.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all know the Wheel of Tha. That's the place you have to have a fucking reservation in to get a moon bridge going.
Mhm.
That thing goes everywhere because Tha can send a moon bridge anywhere. And I find it really interesting that that is one of the aspects of Coyote.
They've kind of doubled down with this because they've doubled down with the Silent Striders, right? Is Ta itself is an actual Egyptian deity from their mythology. So there's all that overlay already in Egyptian lore, in history, and in mythology, in real life, that has actually been drawn into Werewolf and the World of Darkness to be utilized in those ways. So it's such a multi-layered aspect of Coyote. You could really run with that one. Ta and Ogma, you can take and go so deep into that just using real world information that you can make those Nuwisha so dynamic. They're just fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
like that.
fucking... yes.
Yes, not much we can say to that because that's pretty solid.
All right.
I just like how, and again, we're mentioning the different aspects and how you're treating them differently and how they're treated differently. Like, kind of how different their tricks are, too. Like, this one's kind of more of tricks of humility.
Well, yeah, I mean, it definitely, it's almost like tribal at that point.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. It's almost as if each aspect of Coyote could point to like a different tribe. For example, we talk about T. Malice, lies and treachery, killing 1,000 people so long as their dreams become reality. Now, I'm not going to say that's a parallel to the Shadow Lords, because that would be a misunderstanding of the Shadow Lords.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
You see where the ideas can draw.
yeah, you can draw those parallels. You know, you look at Loki. Again, there's only one trickster. He's Coyote. They're all Coyote. Though, in fact, in the write-up for Loki, it mentions is a violent incarnation of the trickster, just as the Get of Fenris follow the call to war, so do the followers of Loki. Most Nuwisha don't like to fight. And this is a quote here, "The words of my teacher, better let the others fight. I'll watch them and laugh when they and their enemies are carried away from the fields of battle. Then I'll tell the others of the great deeds I did on that very field and the number of foes I defeated."
So it's the cleanup crew at that point.
And in a side note, Tom, I know Crimson Ghost has had some encounters,
Mm-hmm.
an encounter, I guess, with Nuwisha. So your buddy Punchline was actually Loki Punchline.
Really?
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. To
That
know
is
now.
really cool.
Just to think about that.
Gonna have to go back and adjust those notes.
Also, I love that name for a Nuwisha.
Punchline.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No,
I think
it's
it's
cool as hell.
perfect for a follower of Loki at that point.
Oh, it is.
I just think of it like a video game, like a battle royale, where the one guy's sitting in the back and like the three others are killing each other.
Yeah.
And then out of the three, one survives but barely any health. The other guy comes running and just punches him in the head and wins.
Yeah.
Like, and I defeated all of them.
Especially when you kind of manipulated the situation into getting them in the first place.
Right.
It's just good business.
And I get credit for all that shit.
Yep.
Grant, you want to help me out with some of these?
Yeah, sure. So here's the first thing when it comes to the totems. They're actually the aspects of Coyote, obviously. But what I'm saying is there are aspects that are not immediately available to all Nuwisha. Ogma, for example, you can't take Ogma as a totem at initial character creation if you're just rolling a Nuwisha. They need to have a couple ranks beneath them, or at least some, a couple stories to really make it so that they can be the ones to carry forward Coyote's memories and the stories of the breed. They're actually the lore keepers of the Nuwisha. And they're fantastic. The best thing about these guys is that not only are they Nuwisha, they can still do all the crazy stuff that they do, but they get an additional 5 points of willpower per story, like to just do whatever. These guys are the real heavy hitters of Nuwisha. Between them and the followers of Ptah, they're kind of like the enforcers. Ogma does the stuff on the material plane, and Ptah does the stuff in the Umbra.
That's a hell of a boon. 5 points of willpower.
It's a
story. Wow.
Right.
Oh, that's not the only boon. They have 5 points of willpower in any formal contest when they're teaching an individual humility. They also get 5 temporary points to go to their mental attributes, and 4 temporary dots amongst their physical attributes.
Wow.
So
Dex.
they get 9 additional points to those attributes when they're teaching a lesson. And they can change for each lesson. For each contest, they can switch it up.
That's kind
That's a little cheaty.
yeah, but I guess
here's the ban.
As long as they're teaching a lesson, it makes sense.
Right. Here's the ban. Followers of Ogma cannot strike another in anger.
Oh.
They can't get pissed off. They can't actually hit anybody in anger.
I get it.
Hard to do.
Like I said, it's a lot of decks.
Yeah. A lot of willpower to withstand hitting somebody who's being stupid.
Why you get
That's
all
why they
the-
give them 5.
right? And of course, you have Raven, cunning and sneaky, watches others squabble and always listens. Says Raven has long been Coyote's friend and many times has saved Coyote from his own mistakes. Coyote owes so much to Raven that he sometimes becomes Raven from time to time, which feels,
As a trick?
I don't know if it's so much a great favor. I mean, the excuse is, let's you relax for a little while. But really, I feel like...
I mean, maybe that's the reason why the Korax get a hall pass, Maybe someone fucked with Raven when it was really Coyote and kind of got bit on the ass for it. They're like, oh, leave those fucking Ravens alone. You don't know what you get.
I kind of like that.
Maybe it could be the other way around, too. The
Also
Coyote's
true.
like, I'm going to get into some real shit, but I'm going to do it as Raven so I can get away with it.
Oh,
It could go either way.
I like both those.
But, the followers of Raven, they spend much of their... Raven spends most of the time in disguise, lurking among the changing breeds, learning their ways. They're the leaders of the Nuwisha, if you would consider the Nuwisha to have leaders.
If.
They're as in charge as it gets.
There's
Outside of Coyote proper, I suppose.
I was going to say, there's in charge, and then there's others that some look up to for their next move.
Look, it's all relative here.
I get it. I know what you're saying, but I'm putting into perspective.
But I mean, it does leave the implication with the Korax, of course.
Of course.
So you chicken or the egg on, or I guess Raven or the egg.
Raven.
On where that hall pass came from and who started it. But go ahead, Grant.
And you need to think about the fact that most Nuwisha that are interacting with a Guru pack, they're going to be followers of Raven. Because they're the ones that are actually meant to be teaching guys warriors as followers of Raven. That's part of, their aspect. So if you have a game where you have random Nuwisha coming in and out, unless, you're running a silent starter game, like you said, that's at the Wheel of Taw and things, most of those Nuwisha, which already should be extremely rare in your game, period, unless you're running a Nuwisha game itself, they're going to be followers of Raven.
And that makes perfect sense. And it's funny, it makes me think of Old Man Miniskins again, who we know, because of his gifts from Coyote, can literally change his skins and take different... We know that he eventually infiltrates many of the other changing breeds for intel gathering purposes and curiosity in general.
General fuckery.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one, you would say, it would be easy. You ask the question. Old Man Miniskins, once known as Laughing Miniskins, well, we don't... What's his...
Yeah, who does he follow?
Right. And it would make sense for it to be Raven, but also because he is Coyote's favorite child, wouldn't it be Coyote proper? So I'm awful curious as to what the truth of that is. I guess I could just fucking look it up, but I didn't, because I don't care what his stats are.
Plus, it's more fun when you make it your own canon.
I suppose that's true.
Yeah, I like it better this way.
I don't really know about making up my own canon, so...
So here's the way that I would look at that, because you don't normally have Nuwisha following Coyote. Following Coyote itself, because they're going to follow the more attuned aspects to really get to where they're going and to do what they're doing. But I would use someone like Miniskins as like an avatar of Coyote, the way Zajak is of Green Dragon. Like, the Green Dragon has lots of people that follow her, but Zajak is her favorite, right? And I would say Miniskins also falls into a similar relationship with Coyote. Like, Coyote has all these different aspects and all these different followers of the totem and the aspects of the totem, but Miniskins is his favorite. So he gives him his special attention.
Well, and that's a good point, because again, we know, to back you up here, we know that Coyote does pick favorites. I mean, for fuck's sake, there is a gift that allows a Nuwisha to just bring someone back from the dead that is only taught to one person at a time that Coyote decides.
Guess who has that?
You look at, and again, we talk back to Laughs at Luna, who came up with the 100 in the realm, who was Coyote's favorite at the time. Her name was Coyote Laughs at Luna. So it's entirely possible that his favorite child is the one who takes the Coyote moniker. But also, again, the behavior of sneaking around and spying on the breeds, taking those skins, that's so Raven.
Oh, jeez.
Well,
Which is a show well past my time, so it's a coincidence
this
here.
is not even that, but it's like the third or fourth time you've said it.
Have I?
Yeah, you've said it several times.
Well, see, I didn't even know.
It's funny that way. Okay. See, I'm just thinking out loud, and it didn't work. All right.
I do like what you're saying though. Like,
you give an idea of what I'm saying. Okay,
Right.
I'll take that.
Yeah, Coyote can change his mind and go from person to person, especially if someone does something stupid they don't like.
Does that mean the other one lost its gifts?
Well, I mean, we don't know, but I would wager that Coyote didn't pick a new favorite until his current favorite was gone.
Ah, okay.
I mean, I would imagine, unless you fuck up something awful. Yeah.
And Sing Back the Dead isn't a gift; it's a right. So the right itself, that information could be taken. Gifts aren't taken, but
you sure that's
rights could be. Yeah, as of W20, it's a right.
Okay, I am like 90% sure it's a gift as of second edition.
Yeah, that was second edition, yeah. But they changed it to a right in 20.
Which I think is worse. I don't like that. I mean...
No, but what he's saying is...
No, I know...
You can take the right away, you can't take the gift away.
Well, I know what he's saying, but that's the thing, is you can steal the knowledge of a right if the only way to learn the gift is from Coyote.
Okay, so I see what you're saying too, then.
So the write-up for that is saying that because Coyote is the only one that can teach it, he's also the only one that can authorize its use. So I assume whenever you do the right, Coyote kind of looks at it and rubber stamps it. And if you don't get the rubber stamp or you steal the right or whatever, then you're going to face consequences for defying his judgment on that perspective. If he says only one person to know this right and to do this right, and you steal it and then you do it anyway, well, then you got what's coming to you from a vicious trickster god.
Yeah, and I definitely see that, and I can appreciate the implication of that on like a storytelling level. The idea of taking that knowledge and the consequences of doing so. And I can see why maybe they would want to make it a right in terms of making it more elaborate, like as a set piece if you're going to have it done in a story. There's more you have to do, generally speaking, with it, where you can just use a gift. You've got to prep a right. There are hoops to jump through to do a right. I get it. I see why that change was probably made. I don't agree with it, but that's fine. Look, one dude knows this thing ever anyway. So,
well, I mean, you look at the parallels between that and the Goral gifts and rights to bring back the dead.
Well, definitely.
Coyote didn't have a monopoly on that.
No, but I could see, it's Coyote jumping the line. With the girl, they have to fight the Death Bear and do all this shit. And Coyote's like, it's fine. Just look, just between me and you, this is how you cut the line here.
Come on back, homie.
And again, that's why only one of them knows.
Right.
Hush, hush. Gotta keep it quiet.
Just a thought.
And then that one goes, something happens, he's gone. Damn it, I gotta show someone else now.
When I think they deserve it. Because let's be clear, Coyote just does whatever the fuck he wants to.
We've established that much.
Looking back to the aspects, because, we got a few more to cover here. We've got Pan, who was, the god of nature and all that implies. And then they kind of link that with Kokapelli, which...
I don't know what Kokapelli is.
That word just cracks me up. Because I know that's how it sounds and how it's spelled, and I have no idea how it's properly pronounced. But I can guarantee it's not pronounced the way it reads to us. And it just cracks me up reading it every single time.
Well, then we're just going to keep saying it.
Yeah, I've never heard it another way.
It does actually kind of go along with it anyway, because that is the one totem that is all about like celebration and joy and having a good time of the Nuwisha. So, yeah, it definitely has a lot of congruencies with Pan, who, is the Greek god, demigod, depending on which way you want to look at it.
Kokapelli!
He just did that.
What the fuck just happened?
I don't know. It seemed like the right move to do.
Yeah.
And it clearly was not.
In hindsight?
No, definitely not.
That's staying in. But yeah, to back you up, Grant, Pan demands that the Nuwisha, they always sate their lust, but never by force.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have like another aspect with, and this is one of these ones I might just destroy here. Kishijonten?
You know better than us, man.
I don't know that I do.
It's close enough.
We believe you.
Yeah, we believe you.
Which is actually a nurturing aspect of Coyote.
Oh.
Right? It's giving guidance and care to the Nuwisha, showing people that the kindness that heals, showing them to take care of each other, which is not something... Let's face it, not something that in the world of darkness you hear of very often.
Not really.
No.
Like fuck just werewolf, just full stop.
Well, we go back to comparing, just drawing parallels, but like the tribals to the different totems of Coyote, right? The different aspects.
So you think this is like the Red Talons?
Furies.
Black Furies. Thank you, Tom. I get it. Teaching a lesson, making a trick. I got it.
Just doing it all day.
Yeah, I'm just fucking with you. That's just how I treat my friends. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
Yep, it's a good thing you like us.
He's a true ragabash.
Am I?
No.
No, he's a true Shadow Lord.
Well, those are still two different things, but...
And then, we got two more to go.
Okay.
We have, so I guess I'll take this one, and I think I'll hand the last one off to you, Grant, is, Chungkul, who is...
That's a mouthful.
Who is a gambler. He's a master of odds. Rather than a typical gambler, he plays things where he makes sure that others lose rather than he wins.
Okay.
So
I was hoping he was going to be fast and loose.
So those, like his followers, they thrive on pranks in a very different way, openly opposing enemies, making certain like they have the worst kind of luck. Important documents just disappear, or it's a subtle but powerful art to, again, not win, but just fuck the other guy.
And that makes me think of you specifically.
That's mean?
And I don't mean it to be mean, but like, if you ever sat in an argument, we looked to episode 100, you were not there to win, you were there to make your opponent look like an idiot.
Yeah, okay, I can see it.
The game Super Fight. Remember that? The card game?
Oh, I remember. It's the one that no one will play with me.
Yeah.
Because you win.
The purpose of the game...
obviously.
The purpose of the game is to argue whose idea, we'll call, is better. And Porter will not argue his idea. He'll just make your idea look fucking stupid.
It's a good way to win an argument, though.
Yeah, that's true. That's why no one plays with me.
Exactly.
Also, Super Fight can get dark.
Yes, it can.
It's a fun card game, though. Everyone out there, if you want to, yeah. You should look into Super Fight. It is fun, but it can get dark because it is about arguing.
Yeah.
Hashtag not sponsored.
It's true.
Just gonna throw that out there. Yeah, that's all about... I don't care if I win. I just want to make sure you look like an idiot.
And so you're going to lose, which ultimately the same thing. It's just more fun my way.
Yeah. That's what happens in any argument or any fight. There's a winner and there's a loser.
And so, Grant, who's last that I specifically planned because it's like the worst one in terms of pronunciation?
So it's actually not that bad. So it's Zanchipile, and so it's a Nahuatl word. It's from the Aztec language. So
in that case.
And now we know.
Sorry.
So the X in that regard, it sounds like a sh sound. So it just says Zanchipile. That's it. So it's the aspect of chance and especially of risk. So it's like the daredevils of the Nuwisha. They're the ultimate they can soak it Nuwisha. They get 5 extra dots of soak. So whenever they do like crazy stuff, like outrageous or exceedingly dangerous stunts and whatever, they just have an extra straight off top 5 dots of soak. So they can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
It's because they're wearing the We Can Soak It hoodie. You can find it at our store.
Our store? Well, that's the same place as the forums, which has the link to our Discord.
Correct.
How about that? And I bet you can find that at RageAcrossTheInternet.com.
.com.
You don't get more than once a time.
I love how that was stuck in there.
That's great. You were saying, Grant.
So also, they also get 3 dots of survival. The really cool thing about these guys is that as a storyteller, you can take them and do crazy stuff because they cannot refuse a challenge. Like, that's part of their ban. Like, if they're dared to do something, they have to do it. So they're the ultimate Coyote version of Evel Knievel. They can have them do any type of craziness.
They should jump sharks.
Oh.
And Miniskins did, probably. Just saying.
Oh, probably.
He did.
Probably
He did
invented
infiltrate
that
the
shit.
Rocaille.
Old Man Miniskins was Evel Knievel. What are you talking about?
Probably.
Have you ever seen them both at the same place at the same time?
Nope.
But then I think moving from the totem aspect why Danny collects himself.
It's going to be a minute for him.
Yeah. I think it's a couple neat things. Is in all of Nuwisha history, there has never been a metis, quote, that we're aware of.
That we're aware of. Okay. So they don't interbreed? Or it just doesn't happen?
Well, you don't get a Nuwisha together a whole lot very often.
Mm-hmm.
There aren't a whole lot of Nuwisha to go around. But what I know is that there has never been a metis that we have been made aware of.
Okay.
Yeah. And I like how they phrase it that way because it allots for a possibility.
Yeah, sure.
But
They're not putting a head on it.
yeah, either they can't do it or they just don't, or there's no reason because there hasn't been one. So maybe there just aren't.
I mean, you have to take into account, one, they're super trickster assholes. I don't know if you know that many people like that, but you have 2 of them, they probably can't stand each other.
Oh, you get a whole freaking moot with them? Oh, boy. That would be a shit show.
Now that's a collection of assholes.
Oh, yeah.
And then on top of that, like you said, there's only 100 of them on the face of the planet at any one time. It's not a lot of people to be spread across the entirety of the planet. So,
Right.
I think the probability of them even seeing one another is pretty low, let alone getting excited to bump uglies together with another asshole that keeps playing tricks on you.
That's a solid point.
He's just trying to get funky. They keep pulling quarters out of your ear. It's like, I'm just going home.
Just
We've
leave it
all
alone.
been
I'm not
there.
playing this
We've
game.
all been there.
Sure that was my ear?
Don't date magicians. That's all I'm saying.
So here's the thing, too, that I like that they've kind of started to go away from, and that I'm really going to be flexing on whenever I start writing more Nuwisha stuff, is that the first edition and second edition, they had a really... Coyotes are an American animal. So there's a lot of congruencies between Coyote and the Native American tribes.
Yeah, they lean on that super hard.
What's that?
Yeah, they were leaning on that super hard.
Yeah, they leaned on it super hard. And they've slowly started to get away from that. And what I would like to do, and what W20 sort of does, they don't really go too deep into it, is to really flex on the different cultures that have a trickster aspect to it. And that would be the social stratus that those Nuwisha would actually come from. Every culture has those followers of Loki or followers of Pan and these other trickster gods. So it makes no sense for Nuwisha in the modern era to only be North American if they're homed.
No, I completely agree, and I think that it's one of the benefits of having, Loki and Raven and Kokopelli and Pan and all that all be Coyote. So you have those different cultural touchstones you can hit on.
I see why we would think that way.
All right. Well, I mean, they did lean really heavy into it.
No, they really did, and I mean, you can. I get why, but that's a little tiresome to me, honestly.
It gets to be too much.
But you could easily just go, Coyote likes Arizona. Fuck it.
Well,
He just likes it there.
Because Roadrunners there.
Because that's where all the Roadrunners are.
But like you can just do it that way. You can just make that the reason, and have that the rest of the world broadened up that way. Why are there so many in the native? Well, because he just likes that region. He likes the sun. He thinks the people of Sedona are fucking weird, and he gets a kick out of it.
as much of a trickster and driver of change that Coyote is, I would assume that, especially in the modern era, almost none of his Homid-born Nuwisha are going to be from North America. He's already going to have that part of the world unlocked with his, the Coyote-born. I mean, if you're Coyote-born, you have to be from North America because coyotes don't exist anywhere else. So, I mean, maybe in a zoo somewhere, that'd be a hell of a story. Nuwisha born in a zoo.
What I kind of like about that is that maybe like he stays in the zoo. I mean, obviously he stays in the zoo because otherwise you're in the paper tomorrow. But but like he stays in there because fuck it, I get 3 squares a day. They pamper me. They send the fucking zoo person here to massage me and brush me daily. I'm getting pampered, and then I can just leave whenever I want. I just got to be back in by fucking sunrise before the first shift shows up.
Be like Night of the Museum, Coyote form.
A little bit, hey, I just get pampered and spoiled all day. I don't have to pay rent. Cool. I'll just take a nap and hang out, and then when I want, I'll just leave and do stuff.
Just gotta be back before they notice.
Right? Like, it doesn't...
I like that idea.
Yeah, it doesn't seem too out of character.
Kind of like Spotlight from the Red Talons.
Kind of, just with less fury.
Yeah, I was gonna say less anger.
Less
Not wanting to kill
shit.
everything.
Right?
Barely holding it together.
So, to circle back around, I don't know how many Nuwisha players you've had at your table. It's not a common thing for me, and I expect that it's not common for anybody's table, unless you specifically say everyone's playing a Nuwisha or someone's playing a Nuwisha at my table for whatever reason.
I've heard of that, but yeah.
I can't imagine that's very easy. It's got to be a difficult breed to play.
Well, that's
everyone just wants to play tricks all the time. You're not actually teaching anything.
Right. That's also the big thing you really have to take into account is that the play differences between Nuwisha and Guru. Similar like Lupus versus Homid, Lupus needs to be played a certain way because they have wolves are different than people. They experience the world differently. And if you don't have an experienced player to be able to go with that, then it kind of falls flat and you're just playing a Homid with wolf abilities, which I know that's kind of where wolf is. There's a pun there. I acknowledge it. Anyway, moving on.
At least you did and none of us did.
I definitely hear what you're saying.
Nuwisha don't have rage. They can't rage.
No, they don't
have rage.
They can go
so you have to play them differently. Just like a person can. But there's a fundamental difference between a person being irrationally, homicidally mad and a werewolf that actually has supernatural anger.
No, exactly. That's something that I've always tried to impress upon, especially new players, is that that time that you were the maddest in your life where you're shaking and you want to break something or someone just so badly as like half the rage. Maybe that's rage 1. Yeah. Maybe. And your character starts with rage 4. So welcome to that.
And because of that, they can't do Thrall of the Worm. They can't go into Hirano. All those aspects that kind of curb Guru players from acting out of pocket, they don't have to worry about that with leadership because they don't have rage. So you really need an experienced player to really drive home this type of character to really, make it alive and dynamic in the story without railroading everything.
Well, and to the point, they replace honor with humor in their renown.
Oh.
And interestingly enough, according to the first edition player's guide, they use glory and wisdom, but the breed book replaces those with ferocity and cunning.
They've changed their renown every edition.
Yeah. To go back to playing, a problem. And I've never had an Nuwisha player because I don't run Zoo Force games. There it is.
I know.
I was in a group with a Bastet player once. I wasn't the storyteller. That's as far as it went. So I would be concerned and Danny, you kind of worked around a little earlier, was, the idea is that they do these pranks to teach lessons.
Right.
And not to throw a pie in the face because I like Looney Tunes. And I think that kind of behavior might be pretty common. I don't know, but I'm afraid that it's common, and I fear that derails games in a spectacular fashion. I don't have proof on either one, but that's the impression I get when I hear other people talk about their experiences.
And if that's the only impression we're getting from the other experiences, you see it, and it's unfortunate. And it's kind of what we were saying when we did the Ragabash. And now you're almost multiplying that with the Nuwisha.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the concern. Is that if you take the Ragabash in that jokey Smurf, as we had always said, the jokey Smurf direction, right? And then you look at the Nuwisha as Ragabash Plus, you have dialed up the wackyometer to such an extent that how do you cut it out? Think your shit through. Not, hey, let's throw a pie in his face because he's being a jerk. Let's find a smarter way around this.
Well, isn't that one of their tenets, too?
They do have their litany right here.
Hey, look at that.
So, haha.
It was like think then act, wasn't it? Yeah.
Think then act is absolutely one of them.
Okay.
I mean, so is teach. Well, we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But yes, think then act is one of them. And again, I don't know firsthand, but hearing other people share their experiences, I worry that no one pays attention to that part.
They just go, I want to just be jokey and have fun, and that's it. I'm not taking the game seriously.
I want this to be Looney Tunes.
Which, again, we already hear about it with Ragabash. Now you're making a Nuwisha, and you're tripling that in a good way.
That's my it's my fear or concern. Go ahead, Grant.
I have a counterpoint to that.
Please.
I think that for one-offs, not for a sustained chronicle or for your player's sustained chronicles, but say if you have a situation in which a player has an emergency, can't show up or whatever, so you're going to do a one-off. Go the Wild Wasteland route of Fallout for a session. Make everything as wacky as possible. Let someone play a Nuwisha and just go super insane clown style with their pranks. It could be a real fun session as long as you know going into it beforehand that, hey, this may be canon at our table, but it also may not be. So we're just going to have fun with this session. It's just going to be just, like I said, a wild wasteland. Just do it crazy.
Well, I can get in on that. It, again, is a one-off. I mean, that's a different animal. I mean, it's still a coyote, but it's a one-off. Yeah, I totally get that because that's no harm, no foul. Like and I was thinking more like those continuing chronicles, and I think the difference makes a difference. But yeah, I think I agree with you that far, Grant, at least.
Right.
It just sounds more of everyone playing the jokes to play the jokes rather than to teach the lessons.
Right, and that becomes the concern. There's so many, again, different aspects of Coyote, so many different ways to play it. I think that's really interesting. And I think that at least the perception, again, I have gotten over the years talking to different storytellers and different players, the different totems and those different mentalities are far more interesting than a fucking pie gag. The Looney Tune style, but the Looney Tune style is the thing that tends to win out. It's like the totems get kind of pushed to the back. Yeah. And in terms of how that would affect a particular Nuwisha. So
It's the easier part of it.
Let's switch it and make the more interesting thing the thing people focus on. And it's wacky. It
was better than, oh no. I'm stuck in these webs.
What's your problem with the worm? Why don't you lick the worm, Danny? You just want to devour. I like balance. Don't you like balance?
Sure.
I haven't seen you fall over today. Who knows?
Jesus.
I know. I know, right?
So if storytellers or players need a kind of an example, what I always do, my new players that they want to play a Nuwisha, I have them look at the story in the Ananasi book of the invader of the meeting, who they kind of say but don't say that it's Old Man Miniskins infiltrating this meeting. And it's like this internal, here's the secret to the Ananasi type meeting that an elder Ananasi would have with a younger one. that's the type of thing that I would really flex on with my Nuwisha players. Like, don't think of yourself as the clown. Think of yourself as using humor or even dark humor to kind of deflect while you're also trying to achieve an objective. Now, a lot of times the objective is going to be teaching, but maybe there's other objectives that you can, integrate into your story. Miniskins does that type of stuff. He actually goes and he finds out all these secrets of the other changing breeds and brings back the Coyote. It's like, hey, this is what's going on. This is what they think. There's no reason that you can't have Nuwisha in your game also doing that. Maybe they've infiltrated the Silverfang. See what the hell's going on. See if they really are going crazy after 7 or 10 years in a leadership position. I can't remember what it is, the number off the top of my head. But I would really go with that angle with my players.
Well, I like that you bring that up. I think if you were going to equate it, that kind of mentality to fictional characters, I was going to suggest, instead of looking at that more kind of wackiness that people perhaps tend to gravitate toward, you look at examples through fiction, and I think, for example, Silent Bob, oddly enough.
Okay.
Now, before Kevin Smith did what he did to his fucking franchises, you hit Silent Bob, this guy who seemed more like a jovial kind of wet butt character. Oh, look at him, he doesn't talk, ha ha, and then what would he do? He'd bust out like the line or two of wisdom in the fucking movie that puts everything in perspective. You go back to Clerks Classic, there's a million fine looking women out in the world. Most of them don't bring you fresh lasagna, most of them just cheat on you. And that fucking line was the turning point for the main character. So something like that, where you're using maybe humor, maybe something, just a fucking line or two. Or, I think of the movie Maverick with Mel Gibson, which...
Going old school now.
Well, so, it's at that point, old school. Don't say it like that.
I know,
that movie came out... Shush. We're not old.
It's very cold in here.
It's your Afghan blanket.
Yeah. But you look at that character, Mel Gibson, not the original Maverick, but the Mel Gibson, that movie, is here he was a trickster, he was a gambler, he wasn't a cheat, but he knew the odds and he knew how to play them. He wasn't wacky, he could be a little silly, but even that had a purpose. He would lull you into a false sense of security. Or even, oddly enough, maybe Mr. Miyagi. Wax on, wax off, paint the fence, sweep the floor.
Okay.
Using the mundane to teach a greater lesson.
Mind blowing.
Huh.
I think these are all different archetypes that you could look at and use when playing a Nuwisha that can make interesting and fun concepts and fun play that aren't turning into Looney Tunes.
Well done on that one.
Thank you.
That was good.
3 very different characters.
Wax on, wax off.
I just had a story idea about that. Not in that line, but when it comes to Nuwisha, I kind of really want to run now. I want to have one of my players play a Nuwisha that is attempting to emulate Miniskins' achievements and infiltrate the mockery breeds in the same capacity, and then bring back to the Sept that information.
That would be pretty great. I really like that idea. That's a serious mission.
That's actually really hard. It would be very difficult.
Right?
But I get it. He's trying to emulate what Old Man Miniskins did. Looking up to him, like, look, he can do it. I got to be that next best one.
Maybe Coyote sends him on that mission.
Or that, true.
Or maybe he learns a tidbit and says, well, I'm curious now, let's see what this is about. But either way, the inciting incident aside, the idea, because you got to remember, and for those who don't know, the mockery breeds, this was shit lab-born by Pentex. So any information you could get on those, that's valuable shit.
Good point.
It's a real mission.
And even though they use the renown, humor, glory, and cunning now for like W20, that's the renown now. I know it was for us and other things in the past. You have the glory and cunning of that mission for the Nuwisha. I mean, even if they only infiltrated one of the mockery breeds, that's almost enough renown to get a rank challenge up, in my opinion, as a storyteller.
By far.
I think so.
They get to do combinations too. Like Ragabash.
What do you mean?
They can combine it to get their ranks.
Oh,
Didn't look into it. Okay.
Didn't look into it.
I would assume. I mean, they're Ragabash Plus, so.
Well, I think it's a different scale entirely, because, they're not Garu.
That's true.
Now, that said, we are about out of time.
I mean, we can go. We got more, but
Well, that's the thing is I think we're getting about there.
yeah, it's about there.
So I think I wanted to touch on their litany.
Before end, yeah, sure.
Yeah, one of those things like I don't want that to fall between the cracks.
Kind of important.
And it's only 6 things.
Well, that's easy.
It is, and they're pretty good too.
So before we wrap up, I do have one last thing to add. So something that I do find interesting, and a lot of it is probably had to do with geography as to why in canonical lore it wasn't written this way. But Nuwisha in the Hingi yokai, the Kitsune sort of fit in that category, but they don't really. There is no Nuwisha in the Far East like that. And I think that's really interesting because you could really take the Nuwisha over there, just wreck shit. They're so stuck up in the way they're wrote. They're so inflexible and tradition bound that a Nuwisha in the kinder or the beast courts would just wreak havoc, teaching lessons to some of these old stogies.
I kind of hate that you brought that up now before my thing, because my response to that would be great for the end of the episode. Building off of that, I think you're missing the gag here. I'm going to suggest that not the Kitsune, but the Semabito, the Rokia of the East, in fact, don't exist, and are just Nuwisha playing an elaborate prank.
That'd be awesome.
Seems like a better idea to me. It seems like a way better idea to me.
Jossum, everybody.
Oh boy.
So let's get the litany in before we have to end it.
See, that'd have been a much better ending to the episode, right?
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's still good though.
It's really good. Street sharks.
Yeah, right.
Oh shit.
Let's make everyone think this is a real thing. That's hilarious.
Alright, so
Yeah.
Great.
tenant 1 of the litany.
Yeah, Grant's over there like, quit talking shit about the Rokia, man. It's going to get us all in trouble. Okay. So yeah, the Coyotes, the Nuwisha's litany, it starts, let fools die a fool's death. It's
self-explanatory.
Yeah, they say it's, the responsibility to save humans from themselves and to protect them from the worm, but it's not their place to stop a suicide or force a person to live who is in pain. It's their place to teach those who will listen, and others are on their own. They don't interfere in wars, they don't punish sinners.
If they're, I get it. If they're dumb enough to make the decision, then let them.
All right?
They got better things to do.
Number 2, teach those who need teaching a proper lesson. Just let the punishment fit the crime. They don't commit acts of vengeance, but there's no rule against helping a foolish person on their way.
As long as it's deserved.
Right. You can help someone who needs to be taught the error of their ways. You help them in Coyote's way. Which is, you prank him endlessly until he can no understand the thought of what he did. Step 3, profit. No. Always prank the worm.
Would have believed you.
Always prank
Get that
the worm.
money.
All right. The children of the worm are the enemies. They don't care for others or teach lessons that need learning. They kill and destroy for the sheer pleasure of doing so. We return the favor many times over. There are tricks and there are pranks. Tricks are for friends. Pranks are for enemies.
Tricks are for kids.
I like that one. That's
yes,
good.
they are. Or lepics.
Or let me up.
You gotta fatten up what you're gonna eat later.
Next, be subtle. Humans don't take well to seeing our Nuwisha nature. Many will imagine they've seen something else. It's Brother Wolf's gift to us. So this is, they're under the veil.
Mm-hmm.
The delirium applies.
Makes sense.
Next, respect Luna. Coyote wronged Luna, and this he knows. We serenade the moon because this is the promise of Coyote.
Yeah, I get it, and it goes back to the
Trying to make up. Yep.
We've got to make up for that trick that we played. Yes, it was a good trick, and look at the shit we got, but we're still in trouble for it.
Did they? What did they get? We don't know.
Right. Again, speculation.
What they got is the one auspice, which is the new moon. There's none. But then finally think, then act. Coyote gifted us with wits. Use them. Don't enrage an enemy you can't escape. Don't betray the location of Akiba, which is their word for Cairn.
Mm-hmm.
Don't mingle with the worm, for he's dangerously seductive. Don't lash out in anger, for we are weaker than most other shapeshifters. Always find the humor in a situation, for laughter is our greatest gift and can cure more than you could ever imagine.
Think, don't act. I like that one.
Right?
Let's think, then act.
Yeah, think, then act.
Same thing.
Is
No.
it?
It's not the same at all. You can think about it and then you don't act. Why would you not act on it?
Well, you could not act.
You're right. You're also not wrong.
Are we doing the 3Ks now? What?
I don't know. But well, now we can do shit.
What? You gotta do something.
Speaking of 3, what's the 3 Bs of the Nuwisha?
See? But Danny ruined it with the K's. Should be cool.
I'm sorry.
See, but
Cool, be smart, be funny.
no, but see, that's the thing. Is that's part of the trick.
Yeah.
That we've subverted your expectations by not doing a 3Bs today.
Okay.
Think, don't act.
Thanks.
And speaking of thanks Grant for coming back on the show. It's great to have you as always.
Appreciate it. Nice to be here.
To be here, I agree.
That's only 2.
Like I said, 2B.
Hey.
Let's pay attention.
Or not. 2B.
But anyway.
It's always nice to come and talk about werewolf and other crazy stuff. So,
Oh, no, we always have a good time when you're on.
Oh, absolutely.
So, thank you again. And then to all you listeners out there, thank you so much for listening. Remember to show your love. Tell everyone. Tell the planet. Get yourself a megaphone.
Or a couple of them.
Yeah, why not? 2 at once. Fuck it. Stereo that way.
Tie them together.
Yep. Get to the highest point you can and just scream out about our show.
Sure.
Particularly in maybe a government building.
Oh, wow.
That might be... Don't do this.
It would work.
It would work to do something.
Yeah, it would work, but maybe not in a good way.
You would be on a list, perhaps.
But people would know about us.
And you get to be in the paper tomorrow.
Hey, look at that.
What the fuck?
I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore.
We have taken...
Holy shit.
We've taken this and run...
way farther than we expected it to.
A little bit. No, for real. Thank you all so much for listening. Obviously, anything you can do to help get the word out. Ratings, reviews, shares. That's the 3Bs. Send those out to the world. Hey, thanks to our backers, of which you can join if you feel so inclined, which is at our Ko-Fi, ko-fi/Rage Across the Internet. Links in the show notes, links on the site, rageacrosstheinternet.com.
And thank you, Ace, for
Yes.
our new editor.
Yes, that's true. Thanks again, Ace. And on behalf of everyone here at Scratch Wolf Studios, and Grant also, whether he wants to or not, we're going to thank you for listening. We want you to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, keep your claws sharp, and a swivel. See you next time.